Hi everyone, Mindy here. Hey, I spent last week from Sunday to Sunday, 7 days, at a training, and I was out of service. Maddie did an awesome job at keeping up with everything, and I appreciate her so much for doing that. But it was quite the experience, and I wanted to share with all of you what I learned, the key points that were pointed out to me. I was given a book, and this is everything that we were taught in the course. So I'm just gonna kind of, again, what I got out of it, and then the key points. I was thinking I will take like a screenshot of this and put in the comments below so that you guys can really read it for yourself and get to understand it better. We were up in Island Park, and like I said, we went up Sunday and then we came home late Saturday night. It was an experience that I kept asking people. My sister got me to go, and my sister and her husband, and I kept asking, well, what is it all about? It's called Wood Badge. Anyway, I'm like, what is it all about? And they just wouldn't. They're just kind of like, oh, you'll love it, you'll love it. And I was like, what the heck? Like, tell me what we do and all that. So the first day we got there, and so we got there Sunday night, spent the night, and then we were expected to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So my husband and I kind of went hoping, I remember the night before we were like, I really hope they don't split us up. Like, we came here to do this together. And we thought, if they did split us up, we would say something and try to be on the same team or whatever. And sure enough, we were split up. And so, of course, we asked if we could do that. And they says, no, we usually like to split up people. So the patrol that I was in was called the Eagles, and then Scott was called the Bob Whites. And so we were split off to people that we don't even know. So that was kind of a learning experience too. We were kind of just like, what the heck? And so then that day it was just, it was class after class after class, and we barely had time for lunch. They made us come back, and we were there till like 10 o'clock at night, and it was just like, what the heck is this? Like, the first day, they plan it where they just kind of cram everything, like too much information. You're just like, whoa. And so that night we were kind of just like, okay. And one thing that happened, and this was kind of interesting, is I didn't realize like how strict they were being, and I just needed to sneak away for like 20 minutes. I had to run back to my camper to grab something, and so I couldn't find my leader. Like, we all have what they call patrol leaders, and I couldn't find her. And so I just like reached over to the table next to me where Scott was, like, hey Scott, I'm gonna run back to the camper real quick. And he's like, yeah, cool. So I leave, and I come back like 20 minutes later. Like, I seriously was hurrying. I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, they were treating it like boot camp, prison, basically. And I get back, and I got ringed out. I was just like, what the heck? Like, I can't leave? Like, what is this place, Looking back, I kind of laugh about it, but I kind of was like pretty bugged when they told me, like, you really can't do that. Like, make sure, anyway. And Scott kind of had the same attitude. We're just like, what the heck are we doing here? And anyway, so it was a lot of information. I took a lot of notes. There's a lot of key things that were, but at the same time, I was just like exhausted by the end of the day. Then the second day was probably my favorite day overall. And what they did was they started out with classes, and they split us. Well, we were in our groups, and what they would do is they made it like a Hunger Games type day. So we started out playing games, and they would be like, okay, they put us all together, the whole group. There's about 30 of us. And they said, okay, this is the game we're gonna play, and then give you like 2 instructions on it, like rules. And we're like, okay. And so all of us just started thinking like, well, what if we did this? Is this cheating? Or, and they would just kind of smile and not say much. Like, all of the patrol leaders were there. And so we had one of the leaders come over and whisper in one of the guys' ears that was on my team, and he's like, you guys are competitive, be competitive, and just kind of walks off. We're like, okay, so we can cheat. Like, what's going on here? So we were the team that cheated, but yet we weren't cheating. Like, we never got in trouble for what we were doing, but we'd always like look ahead and like figure out what game was next. And then in our books, there was always like rules about the game, but they were very, very vague. And anytime we'd ask about a rule, they would just open up the book and read what we could read. That's all they would do. And we're just like, okay. So that the day went on doing that, and we were the team that kept cheating. And so other teams were getting mad at us. Like, why are you guys cheating? And we're like, we're not cheating. Like, ask them. They'll tell you that you can do it, you know. And of course they weren't saying anything, but yet they weren't saying no. So in our minds, we're like, okay, let's do this, you know. So we were the team that kept getting all the trophies and winning, and the other teams weren't liking it at all. And so they were kind of all ganging up on us. And that just went on like all day. We weren't, you know, we kind of like, they weren't saying much, but we're like, okay, this is like a Hunger Games day. Like, we gotta, every man for himself type of thing. And so we had games clear into the evening. The very last game that we played, it was called the Game of Life. And we all came into what we call like the main group meeting area, and there were just like tables lined up, and so you sat with your team every time. And so it was a game where we were given 2 different sticks. One was like beads and the other one was axe. And so there were 10 different what's the word, like levels, I guess, like and so the first one was they would say like, so okay, so if you held up, I'm trying to remember this, if you held up like beads and then everybody else did axe, like you were the only one that got negative points, everybody else got positive points. And again, the rules were very vague, and so as we would play, we would understand more and more of what the game was about. So that was about the fourth. There was 10 different levels, I guess. So the fourth one, we were kind of just like, what the heck, this game is, it sucks, really, like, what is going on? Like, nobody understood it, except every time it was like, you'd go like 400 negative or 400 positive or whatever. So you started figuring it out, and by the 4th or 5th level, you would figure out what's going on. And at that point, they said, okay, we need a main person from each team to go out and meet with everybody, a rep from all the other teams. And I was picked, and Scott was picked, which was kind of fun, on our teams. And so we went out and we kind of discussed like what's going on. And then at that point, we were given roles. And all the rules, it was a little card that just said, if this many people do axe, this many people do beads, like this is what you get. And so we looking at it, the only way everybody could win is if we all did beads. And so it was creating like a huge competition thing. Like, so meeting like that, we could easily be like, okay, let's all do beads, and then one person does axe, and then everybody else is gonna lose, the axe wins. Like, that's how the game's set up, and so it's just crazy. So we would all agree to do something and then go in and talk to our team and see what they thought. Of course, it wasn't our decision. We had to go talk to the team and convince them of what we had just decided out in that little meeting group. And the whole time the guy was like, there was a big sign up there that says we all can win. And that was like one thing that he kept pointing to and was like, repeat after me, we all can win. And so that was the whole point of the game. Like, if everybody sacrifices, everybody wins. And so we decided, let's do that. Like, there was a lot of teams that were way in the hole, and the only way they were going to be in the positive is for everybody in the group to do beads the whole time. So we started doing that, and like after like round 6, I think it was, so it was about 2 more rounds of that, we saw that one team was really low, and the only way to get them high is to let them do axe, and we all did beads. So we'd all go down, but they would go up. So in our minds, we were like, let's all be positive, and then we all win. Like, that's the whole thing. And so on round 6, we did that, and there was the one team that had not won all day. Like, they had come in second on a few things, but never had they won once. It put them way under. And so the rep from that team came out, and she just was like, you guys, my team's so mad at me. Like, they think that, you know, like, we've got to do something for them. And so I think this was about round 8 that she was just like, you guys, my team is mad at me. Like, you guys have got to help me out here. And so we all kind of talked, and we're like, well, you'd won. You know, the Eagles, you guys have like 4 trophies. Like, come on, can you guys? I'm like, yeah, of course we will. Like, I'm speaking for myself. I got to go back and talk to my team. And so I did that, and I sat down, and it came down to the last round. And if we all did beads, then they would be able to win. But if any of us did axe, we would like win it, everybody else would lose. Like, it came down to like the last thing. And so we I came in and told my team that, and I says, I am leaving it up to you guys. I says, this is what we've decided. I said, you guys can decide what you want to do. I was like, but my name's behind this, basically. Like, it's not going to be cool if you guys decide not to. And so everybody just decided, like, you know what? It was the Beavers that were actually right next to us that needed to win, and they hadn't won all day. And so we sit down, and of course they like drag this part out, and I'm just like, I can't even watch this. This is way too much, you know. And so just sitting there, I was just like waiting for it, and everybody, we were all looking around. Like, Scott's clear across the room, and he's looking at me like, you guys better do it, you guys better do it. And I was like, it's not my choice, like, they have the sticks, you know. And it was just intense. So then came down to the last thing, and we all did what we'd said, which was really, really cool. So after every game, they would kind of regroup and be like, okay, what can we learn from this, that type of thing, about leadership and team building and all that. So it was really cool. But what I took from this is, and it hit me like hard, was the fact that so the organization is scouting. It's called Wood Badge. We were all there. Of course, the whole time I'm learning all this, I'm incorporating it into Maskcara. And so when that was all done, we all came together again, and they said, you guys, like, I'm super impressed. Like, the fact that you guys all did what you agreed, that never happens. Like, that says a lot about you guys. And that was a really cool moment. And the rest of the week, I mean, this was only Tuesday and we had till Saturday, but the rest of the week they kept bringing that up, about how amazing it was that we kind of all came together and allowed this team that hadn't won all day to win, and just the team building and all that happened. And all week they were trying to like plug in and try, they almost try to cause contention to see like how other people react and all that. So the whole week it was like constantly things like that. Like we had a lady in our group that was a little bit needy, and so they looked back and saw that, and so they kept telling her, you really need to ask for help, like make people carry your water bottle, like all this stuff. And our team would do it for her, you know. And like later in the week we realized what they were doing is that they had pulled her aside and been like, hey, you really need to just be super needy. Like, yes, you have some health conditions, and yes, you need somebody to carry your chair here and there, or you can't get around too often, but really like be obnoxious about it, you know. And so that ended up being a really cool experience too, where they had just tried, and at the end of the week they were like, you guys, like we could not get anybody to like cause ruckus or anything, like you guys are amazing, like that never happens. So that was really cool. It really was a great group of people. We made some really good friends. So I'm kind of all over the place. It really was such a great experience, and I want to get on and talk about things that really stuck out to me. But going back to that game, so at the end it was like, yes, you guys are all your own teams, and we worked all day trying to like prove that you were the better team. But what this whole thing is about is unity. Like, you guys all represent the Boy Scouts, and apparently like that's kind of where it all came down to. And so if you cause competition, like nobody wins. If you guys can all come together as a team, everybody wins. And that was that big sign that they just kept pointing to and making us repeat, was we all can win. So that kind of hit me with Maskcara. I was like, oh my gosh, like we need to kind of, and that's what Maskcara is all about, is the sisterhood thing that Kara started. Like, we all need to get together and help and support each other for Maskcara to remain successful and to be a big company. So that kind of made me start to think, like, Mandy and we are always quick to share what we learn, and it's like, do we share it with just our team, or do we share it like on our YouTube channel where it's out there for everybody to see? Right now we're kind of 50-50 on what we do, because we want to stay true to, you know, our team and help them grow. But at the same time, it's like, what if we could help Maskcara, and the fact that Maskcara is going to stay around longer because we form this community unity type thing, sisterhood. So that kind of changed my perspective on things. If there's always competition, maybe Maskcara won't be around because we cause competition, and it's a negative energy rather than a positive energy. So that kind of answered a lot of my questions that I've been thinking about a lot lately. So anyway, any comments that as you guys are watching this, definitely be quick to let me know, and we want to engage that way with you guys. So one thing that they kept going over all week was, they'd be like, what's that L word? What's that L word in leadership? What's the most important thing in leadership? And that L word is listening. There are about 5 pages here in this book about listening. And what I will do is screenshot each of them and put them in the comments below so that you guys can really look at them and get to know and learn more. But I will just, it says listening to learn. And again, that was just every day, just listening, listening, listening. If you can listen, you are a good leader. And it just, yeah. So it says, why is listening a key skill of leadership? Listening is a critical element of communication and a primary means for connecting with other people. Sharing ideas and experience creates a pool of familiarity among us. From that grows trust, understanding, and awareness of strengths and skills, the building blocks of friendship and teamwork. Listening provides the means to make decisions and solve problems. Listening is the glue that holds a team together, the doorway through which ideas pass, the window in which solutions appear. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So that was really, really great to learn throughout the week. It was kind of interesting how often they would come back to that L word. What's that L word again? Listening. To listen, which I've learned and respect a great deal about. So anyway, that's all I have for today. There's so much information. I mean, I just covered the first 2 days of what we did, and such a great experience. If anybody's interested in that, I feel that it's very, very well worth your time. I know we're all building teams here, and anytime another artist signs up, like in their mind, they need to see what they're building a team. And to be a good leader is everything in a company like this. So I hope to share everything. Again, it was such a great experience. I would definitely do it again if I could, and I would suggest it to everybody out there. So again, comment below. Let us know your questions or comments about what I said and what you want to hear more about. And